This is the Tech Genie, and today I'm going to be doing a teardown of a Huawei Mate SE phone. So we're going to need your phone, of course, these following tools, and your SIM tray removal tool. I already pre-disassembled the phone for this video, but take your SIM tray removal tool, insert into that hole right there, that'll pop your SIM tray right out. Once you get done doing that, put it aside. We'll go to the two bottom screw, which is ironically the same as what Apple uses on their phone pretty much, and just use the same tool you would use on the Apple phone to remove those two bottom screws. Then once you get done doing that, take your plastic pry tool, which I prefer, go right at the bottom display and gently lift until you can get somewhat of a seam there, until you can insert the guitar pick there and just release the clips. Once you get done doing that, you'll be able to separate both halves, but be careful, there is a cable there that goes to the fingerprint scanner. You don't want to rip that. Don't rip that flex cable there, and then go ahead and move two halves laying down there. Once we get done doing that, then you're going to take your P800 precision screwdriver, and we're going to go ahead and move the shield that actually covers the battery connector and the motherboard connector first, so we can disconnect the battery. Go ahead and unscrew the two screws holding that little shield in. And you're going to have to play around this little shield because it doesn't come out very easily. So you're going to have to go ahead and gently lift it because there is two clips behind it that kind of hold it in there. But it'll come loose. And then once you come loose, then just put it aside. So we'll go ahead and finally got it loose pretty much. Then what I would do is put it round with the screws so you know where everything goes back. And then go ahead and disconnect your battery connector so we don't accidentally turn on power while we're disassembling this phone. Next, remove the one screw with the warranty void sticker over it. Then you go ahead and take that little shield off there to go ahead and disconnect the fingerprint scanner. So go and lift on the connector, and then you can put that assembly aside right there. And this concludes this part of the video for the time being right now. For the next part, we're going to remove the screws that's securing the motherboard down. We'll remove the one by the shield that's covering the two rear camera connectors. Then we're going to remove the other screw in the middle right here. You're going to use the same P800 screwdriver while doing this, so just put it aside where you'll memorize where the screws go, but they're all the same size, thankfully. So go and just take them out and then put them aside so you don't lose them. Then we're going to move the two connectors, one going to the charger port and the other one going to the display assembly. Then go ahead and, carefully pry up at the SMA connector. It's pushed on the antenna there. Don't have to be forceful with it. Then you can gently lift the motherboard away. It's pretty easy on this one. And here's a close-up of the motherboard pretty much. I'll take the shields off later. Or at least what I can, not all of them. But here you go. That's what it looks like. And then put the motherboard pretty much when you're done on the anti-static surface. And then we'll go ahead and get ready to get to the charger port. You're going to remove the screws that I'm pointing at. So you just remove all those screws there. And we'll get to that part later. Okay, for the next part, we're going to be removing the charger port assembly with the speaker assembly. So you remove these following screws. So we'll start by the speaker area. Just remove any screw you can visibly see. I think there's a total of about 5 screws or so. So I'm going to remove those two screws there. That'll be for the second screw. It's going to be the same P800 screwdriver we were using to remove the motherboard earlier. And there's two by the USB port here, so remove the one there. And thankfully all the screws are the same size as well here. So I'm going to remove that screw there. Just make sure keep them where you can find them later on. Don't roll off the table or keep them in a container separate if you want to. Once you got done doing that, I'm trying to remove the speaker assembly, but it doesn't want to quite come out, so I have to take a closer look at it. And I see there's a little slot where it slots in, so I'll slide it right out, and it should come right out, and it did. Okay, so we'll take a closer look at the speaker assembly, and it's a really good speaker on this phone. It's pretty loud. You can take a look at the speaker assembly there, and we'll put it aside. And then next, we're going to go ahead and be careful not to use this shield that goes over the connector that goes up to the motherboard. Just put that aside there. And then we're going to go ahead and remove that connector there. And I'll give you a close-up look at the connector that goes up to the motherboard there. And put that aside. And then next we're going to try to remove the charger port, but it's not quite coming out. And then I see the SMA connector too that I gotta remove, so I'm gonna go and pop that out real quick. Just go and lever it upwards and it'll pop right out. And then we should be able to remove the charger port, but I'm gonna go and try to apply a little heat on it first just in case there's adhesive under it. You won't want to set the heat gun ridiculously hot because you destroy the display and everything else. Just put it enough where it's almost hot to touch but not quite. That'll be enough to soften the adhesive. So you can go ahead and release the charge port without bending the board or breaking it or anything like that. Just never put the heat gun too hot, because if you put it too hot you can destroy the display and everything else, and then the phone's shot pretty much. And then you got the battery right next to it too. So it can make for very dangerous situations. So just be very careful and only use a temperature controlled heat gun pretty much. So I'm going to go and continue heat this. It's starting to get there, so I'm going to heat a little bit more. And now I should be able to go ahead and lift this whole entire board assembly here. This houses the microphone, the antenna cables and everything else, and the charger port. And here we go. Did come out successfully, and there was adhesive holding it down. Here's a close-up shot of the headphone jack and the USB port. And then you can see the microphones and stuff like that on this board here. So I'm going to go and put this aside. And next we'll get a close-up look at the battery and everything else and the frame and stuff. This is a very well-built phone for the price range. I mean, really well-built. But here's a close-up look of it. And you can see the battery details and everything. As I don't see no tabs to pull that battery, so I'm assuming you probably got to heat it to remove it. And here's a bottom look of it, and then you can see the cable for the display assembly going into there. So this concludes this part of the video until the next part, pretty much. I went ahead and unclipped the shields that were not soldered down pretty much. And here's a close-up look of the board with those two shields not there no more. And you can see this side right here, some components right there. I think I can go and flip the board around. And there's some more components right there. I'll give you a close-up look. And there you go. That's a good shot of the motherboard pretty much. Wish I had a macro lens and could see better detail, but I'll get one later on for future teardowns. Here you go. I'll go and put that aside right there. Here's the rest of the components, and this concludes this part. Here's the back cover of it where the antennas and everything are housed in. Then you can see the fingerprint scanner there, and then some more what looks like to be the go to more antennas on the case. But here you go. Did go ahead and reassemble this phone back. I'm just going to do a quick power up just to make sure it does power back up. But overall, during this teardown, it quite impressed me, and I do highly recommend someone to buy this phone because it got extremely well built quality and attention to detail. I mean, they put shields over the connectors to make sure they don't vibrate loose and so forth. And this is a very repairable phone, so as far as build quality goes, it's top notch pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't expect this at the $230 that they were selling this phone for. But it does power up. Everything's looking good. So we'll go and power back off. And then touch should still work and everything. I'm pretty sure it does. So it still does. And this concludes this video pretty much.